It's all connected. And when somebody says, oh, there's no connection, yes, there is. There's different minerals that are connected, or precious stones like diamonds that are connected into these areas. And so you always have to follow the money. Like, why does the United States have AFRICOM in Africa? Why is it that Mali has over 2,000 gold mines, but no gold reserves? But France has over 600 gold reserves, but no gold mines. Why? It's theft. That's basically what it is. It's theft. And a lot of times what ends up happening is a lot of these, in particular, these imperialist governments, what they will do is they will exacerbate a conflict between ethnic groups, prop up one ethnic group over another, and then there's resentment and infighting among those ethnic groups, and they will instigate fighting between these ethnic groups in Africa. In particular, in Rwanda, you have the Hutus and the Tutsis. And so because they do that, it keeps the area destabilized. And then it keeps the manipulation tactics of these imperialist countries to the fore so that they can manipulate things and say, well, you guys need some help? Well, then let us bring in our arms and we'll arm you guys to help you guys against an insurgent group that tries to take over. Baby, all this stuff going on is connected. Absolutely. Let me share something with you, because I think this is important. And I am happy that this has gotten as much attention as it has, because guess what? People need to know. So I put out a tweet a few days ago. It wasn't even actually my original tweet. It was actually a retweet. And yes, I'm still calling them tweets because screw Elon Musk. I'm calling it Twitter. It's still going to be Twitter to me. All right. On Twitter, here's what I stated. So originally, there was this. This is from K Diallo. Says Congo is silently going through a genocide. Don't keep silent. Speak up for the Congolese brothers and sisters. And it's a sad picture of a dead Congolese mother, and her baby toddler is pulling on her because she won't wake up. I said Congo is going through a massacre as we speak. Why? Because the West wants minerals and they need to keep the region destabilized. When I say the West, I also mean Israel. Yup. Now, this tweet got a lot of coverage. This tweet pretty much went viral. 5.1 million views just for my retweet. And we're so far at 129,000 likes, 84,000 retweets, and 258 comments. Now, there's a lot of black people. I'll wet my whistle for this one. There's a lot of black people that will go, well, what's going on in Palestine is bad, but we don't have any connection to that. It's not our dog. We don't have a dog in this fight. First of all, yes, you do, because it's your federal dollars that are actually going towards Israel in order to massacre Palestinians, number one. Number two, y'all forget that there are Afro-Palestinians or just Black Palestinians in Palestine as well that are also suffering. So don't get it twisted. Our people are still there. Number three, what's also going on in Palestine is directly connected to Congo. So if you consider Black people, all Black people, your people, then Israel is also contributing to what's going on in African countries. So you do have a dog in this fight. And number four, let me tell you this. The IDF literally trains the police in this country. And so when police are bashing your head in, who did they learn it from? They learned it from the Israeli Defense Force. So to all the Black Americans that may say, oh, we don't have a dog in this fight, in the words of Donald Trump, wrong. Wrong. You do have a dog in this fight. And so this is why it behooves your solidarity. It behooves you wanting to dismantle the system. Because once you dismantle the system, you're not only doing it for them, you're also doing it for yourself. Let's go. Gotta love it. Let's go into the article. Kenya, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo backs Israel's genocide assault on Palestinians in Gaza. Say it ain't so. All right. This came out almost a month ago. It says the governments of Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Kenya, home to some of the most horrific crimes of imperialism in the 20th century, have joined U.S. and European governments in their support of Israel's campaign of mass murder and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. They are rushing to reinforce the howls of outrage emanating from Washington, London, Berlin, Paris, and Madrid. But any extermination of the record of these rotten regimes and imperialism's crimes against their people historically instead underscores the political amnesia required for anyone to swallow this torrent of hypocrisy and lies. Oh, I love the way they wrote that. Kenya's President William Ruto, indicted over crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court, over his role of instigating ethnic violence after the 2007 elections that left over 1,500 dead and 500,000 displaced, posted a statement expressing solidarity with the state of Israel. So yes, there are Zionists in Africa. As Kenya, he pontificated, unequivocally condemns terrorism and attacks on innocent civilians in the country and supports actions against perpetrators, organizers, financiers, sponsors, supporters, and enablers of terrorism. Rwanda, under the 3-decade brutal dictatorship of Paul Kagame, issued a similar statement condemning the Palestinian armed uprising as an act of terror and expressing sympathy for Israel following the terror attacks on Israeli territory, leading to the loss of lives, numerous injuries, and the abduction of hostages. DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix. All right, this is going to be tough. Tshisekedi. I'm terrible with names. Sorry. Who recently sent the army to crack down on anti-United Nations protesters in Goma City, killing over 50 demonstrators, firmly condemned the terrorist attacks, causing heavy loss of life and many injuries. It says despite the propaganda campaign in the mass media, the populations in all these countries, like the vast majority of the world's people, solidarize with the Palestinians who have been subjected to decades of opposition and persecution. So, basically, the leaders of these countries are with Israel, even though the people, just like the United States, are with Palestine. Now, if I'm correct right now, there's supposed to be a pro-Israel protest going on right now, I think in Washington, D.C. I don't even know how big it is. I don't know how successful it is. But one thing I do know is I don't think they're going to reach the same numbers as the pro-Palestine protests that happened, uh, not this Saturday, but the past Saturday with over 300,000. So I think that it's going to be less, but we'll see. So yeah, let's continue because this article gets deep into um, the issue of colonialism. So it talks about Kenya gained independence in 1963. So you have that about the Mau Mau uprising. It says, like today's Netanyahu's regime portrayal of Palestinians as quote unquote animals, the British colonial authorities decried the heroic figures who were armed with homemade guns, machetes, and bows and arrows against the modern equipped British army and its local collaborators as animals and savages animated by backward beliefs. As one official study of the colonial authorities said, the Mau Mau were an irrational force of evil, dominated by bestial impulses and influenced by world communism. So that's what they said. So that's a similarity. Now, Congo. Democratic Republic of Congo is home to one of the most horrific crimes of imperialism. Colonized by Belgium, an estimated 8 to 10 million 8 to 10 million Africans died as victims of King Leopold's rubber terror from 1855 to 1908 because of forced labor, aka slavery, to collect rubber for export, together with the epidemic, disease, and famines. Parents who refused to participate in rubber collection were threatened with having their children's hands cut off and their entire villages razed. By the way, just to let you guys know, in Belgium, they still sell chocolate hands. That's an insult to the Congolese who were enslaved by Belgium to not mine, but to cultivate rubber. And that's what happens. King Leopold was a horrific figure. He's up there with Hitler. And Andrew Jackson. Now, it says after independence in 1960, Belgium and the U.S. worked to murder and the democratically elected Patrice Lumumba, the leader of the anti-colonial struggle. Lumumba demanded that the Congo should control its own extensive mineral wealth, sign his death warrant. He was captured by pro-imperialist forces, tortured, and executed, and his body was dissolved in acid. The Belgians kept his teeth as souvenirs. They wanted no remnants of Patrice Lumumba. And now you have their leaders promoting settler colonialism. It says over the next decades, Congo was ruled by the CIA's proxy, Joseph Mobutu, who ran the country as a kleptocracy. He looted an estimated $5 billion before his removal in 1997. The spilling over into the Congo of the Rwandan crisis in the 1990s cost as many as 5.4 million lives over the next decade, dubbed it the world's deadliest since World War II, and what was come to known as the First Congo and Second Congo Wars. Now, there's a point that I want to make. So I'm going to talk about Rwanda too. It says Rwanda was colonized by Germany and then Belgium, the roots of the 1994 Tutsi genocide, which saw 900,000 people butchered in 100 days. has roots in the colonial era. Belgium enforced strict hierarchical divides among otherwise fluid and overlapping ethnic groups, the Tutsi, Hutu, and Twa, as a way of maintaining control in Rwanda. Now, we're going to get into this. It says, at first, Belgian colonial authorities reinforced existing Tutsi elite powers and structures. But during the late 1950s, when Tutsi monarchy started calling for independence, Belgian imperialism responded by magnifying long simmering resentment among the Hutu peasant majority and reversed discrimination, elevating Hutu over Tutsi and creating a new oppressive state based on the exclusion of Tutsi. So I'm going to share this article with you guys, but just know that the colonialism pushes the divides among African tribes and ethnic groups. So let's share this too. Can't believe I forgot to share this part, but let me. Okay. Let me share this video really quick because I can't believe I forgot to share this. But should have shared this in the outset, but it's okay. This young lady has been on it so good. Oh my gosh. I appreciate her.
What you see behind me are the Congolese people being forced to mine natural resources, especially coltan, out of their own free will. And this is being enforced by the militia group of Rwanda and Uganda that is funded by the colonizers, America, Britain, France, and Israel. This is what these people are going through every single day of their lives. This is what's happening. And anyone that refuses to do this, you get either unalived, or if you're a woman or a girl, you're going to be hourly. Like literally, the soldiers take turns to basically assault young women and grown women over and over and over again. In Congo, it's the most unsafe place for any woman and any girl to live there because of all the atrocities that are happening to them. So this is the reality of the people of Congo. And the world needs to wake up. You guys, we need to talk more about what's happening in Congo, in Sudan, and what's happening around the world, because we have been brainwashed and literally hypnotized to just focus on ourselves. And, you know, they throw all these things, whether it's streaming services, whether it's anything to just distract us from knowing the truth of what's going on around the world and what the colonizers are doing to our own people all around the world. Okay, so let's talk about Congo. You guys share this video, like it, subscribe, blow it up, and make your own videos too, because I'm covering so many topics and I'm gonna.
And she's right. So what's going on in Congo? And there is ties to colonialism. Israel is a settler colonial state, so they're going to do it. They're going to participate in colonialism as well. So let me share this. And I saw this video and I was just like, that tracks. So I want to share this.
Why aren't you paying attention to the genocide in Congo? And I was like, you know what? Let me just look into it real quick. But first, did you know that one of Israel's biggest exports is diamonds? Right, $9.06 billion in 2021, making it the fifth largest exporter of diamonds in the world. Israel is considered one of the most important countries that import rough diamonds and the most prominent countries that export polished diamonds. Most of these diamonds come from African countries such as South Africa, Liberia, Congo, and directly linked to groups committing massacres against civilians in order to obtain diamonds. And trade with these diamonds leads to the death of tens of thousands of people annually in the countries of origin. The sale and export of these diamonds are linked to a major arms deal, the creation of civil wars, and financing the fighting groups. This has caused the diamonds trade in Africa to be called a dirty trade. The jewels are called blood diamonds because the blood of thousands of Africans is shed. They're upset that we're not paying attention to the other genocide that they're causing. Oh my.
So basically, it's all connected. It's all connected, baby. Now, that article that that gentleman was reading from, it goes deeper. He didn't even cover the entire thing. So, Israel's dirty trade in Africa, diamonds, weapons, and settlements. Make sure I get this big enough. Okay. So it says Israel is considered one of the most important countries that import rough diamonds and the most prominent countries that import polished diamonds. Most of these diamonds come from African countries such as South Africa, Liberia, Congo, Ivory Coast, among others. These countries are directly linked to groups committing massacres against civilians in order to obtain diamonds, and trade with these diamonds lead to the deaths of tens of thousands of people annually in the countries of origin. The sale and export of these diamonds are linked to major arms deals, the creation of civil wars, and financing fighting groups. This has caused the diamond trade in Africa to be called the dirty trade. The jewels are called blood diamonds because of the jewels of thousands of Africans is shed. The blood of thousands of Africans is shed in order to extract and market them. So, unfortunately, for a lot of Africans, there is a lot of destabilization and there is a lot of violence. Now, what have we learned is that if you keep an area destabilized, that means that people don't want to stay there. People don't want to live there. So you chase them off, and then whose land is that now? Is the land of whoever occupies that land. And this is why sexual assault goes, because if women, especially who are sexually assaulted, don't feel safe in an area, they're gone, right? Which means the men follow, typically. So it clears that area. And then the people who have to stay, they are basically subject to inhumane working conditions, basically slavery. But that's the only game in town, so they have to mine for diamonds, or mine for coltan, or mine for whatever mineral that they have to get their hands on for these big corporations. So this is how it goes. And so the destabilization works for a lot of these corporations because now they don't have to pay a decent living wage. They don't have to make sure that there's worker protections. All they got to do is slide some money to either some militant groups or to some governments that will make sure to keep things destabilized. And a lot of times these Western governments, these colonial governments, like Belgium, France, England, Germany, United States, Italy, what have you, they will make sure that they will keep these people like the heads of Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya in their pockets. Let's continue. It says, the Jews were among the pioneers of the diamond industry, starting from the Middle Ages. In the European countries, they were banned from working in many fields, but the trade of gold and diamonds were exempt from the ban. Therefore, a majority of Jews worked in that field, and the trade expanded considerably after the first Zionist conference held in Basel, Switzerland, in 1897, aiming to provide a financial source that would help the Zionist movement carry out its plans. Therefore, the Jewish billionaire Edmund Rothschild established the first diamond factory in Petah Tikva settlement in Palestine in 1937, before the establishment of Israel. Jewish diamond experts who came from Belgium and the Netherlands to settle in Palestine worked in this factory. After the increase in the number of Jewish immigrants to Palestine, other diamond factories were established in Tel Aviv, and these factories were united into the Israel Diamond Manufacturers Association. The association's work flourished after Nazi Germany occupied a number of European cities that were considered centers for the manufacturing trade of diamonds. A large number of diamonds and its trade went to the association. After Israel was established, the industry flourished and thrived. The systems and mechanisms used in the industry improved and developed, allowing the association to become the center for diamonds in Israel. The position of president of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses was even filled by several Israeli individuals. It says diamonds come to Israel from several sources, the most important of which are some African countries, Russia, Canada, as well as some from other areas by illegal means, meaning providing some countries in the African continent with arms and military equipment in exchange for rough diamonds. Israel has a diamond exchange in Ramat Gan near Tel Aviv, and it occupied an important position in the manufacture and polishing of diamonds as well as other precious stones. This is because the Israeli diamond industry uses very advanced equipment and new techniques. The diamonds are cut with lasers and that they are polished by machines. There are also officials representing major international companies in the diamond business. Here's the point. It says, therefore, the diamond industry and its export is one of the most important Israeli industries. The revenue of this trade reached 30% of the gross national income of 2011, while in 2014, the trade of rough and polished diamonds in Israel amounted to $9.2 billion. This industry contributes $1 billion annually to the Israeli Defense Ministry's budget. Starting from 2012, Israel has begun carrying out geological tests in order to extract diamonds from areas near the city of Haifa, which, according to the World Federation of Diamonds, Israel exports nearly $50 billion in diamonds a year. So, Israel's distinction in its trade is due to several factors. Most importantly, its relationship with the apartheid government in South Africa, and the fact that its industry is old and has been passed down to the Jewish community in Africa. Another reason for this is Israel's disregard for international laws regarding arms trade and export, which is something it has done with several racist and fascist countries in Africa that were ravaged by civil and ethnic conflicts and wars. The accusation is clear, and it indicates that Israel steals African diamonds in return for supplying Africans with weapons and military equipment in order to fuel the internal ethnic, race, and regional wars on the continent, despite the condemnations issued by a number of international bodies and organizations. These are usually directed to major Israeli traders, but none of these blood dealers, as dubbed by these international organizations, have been put on trial. As the report accused Israeli traders of having a direct relationship with the bloody diamond trade, particularly in the Ivory Coast and Sierra Leone. Although the UN Security Council passed several resolutions in the late 1990s banning and restricting the import of rough diamonds from conflict zones in Africa in order to prevent the use of financial revenues to prolong conflicts, Israel continues its theft. So ultimately, this is colonialism and imperialism. Now, Let's take a look at this. This stuff is so connected. It says, what is most interesting in this is the relationship between trade of dirty diamonds and Israeli arms companies on one hand, and the funding of settlement projects in Jerusalem and the rest of the occupied Palestinian territories on the other. This thorny relationship also involves officers from Israeli Mossad. The most prominent example of this is Israeli billionaire Lev Leviv, a Jew of Russian origin who was an officer in Israeli army working in Africa. He currently is one of the most important leaders in the diamond industry and trade in the world and a major funder of Israeli settlements and head of the Israel Land Fund, a Jewish organization run by extremist Jews, I should say Israeli Zionists, who aim to steal Palestinian land by violent means. So, it's all connected. And when somebody says, oh, there's no connection, yes, there is. There's different minerals that are connected, or precious stones like diamonds that are connected into these areas. And so you always have to follow the money. Like, why does the United States have AFRICOM in Africa? Why is it that Mali has over 2,000 gold mines, but no gold reserves, but France has over 600 gold reserves, but no gold mines? Why? It's theft. That's basically what it is. It's theft. And a lot of times what ends up happening is a lot of these, in particular, these imperialist governments, what they will do is they will exacerbate a conflict between ethnic groups, prop up one ethnic group over another, and then there's resentment and infighting among those ethnic groups, and they will instigate fighting between these ethnic groups in Africa. In particular, in Rwanda, you have the Hutus and the Tutsis. And so because they do that, it keeps the area destabilized. And then it keeps the manipulation tactics of these imperialist countries to the fore so that they can manipulate things and say, well, you guys need some help? Well, then let us bring in our arms and we'll arm you guys to help you guys against an insurgent group that tries to take over. And so that's basically how it is. The colonialism that has happened still happens down to this day. I found this article as well. I think it's kind of important. Take a look at these. This one is colonialism, the origin of Africa's tribalistic woes. And it says, with over 3,000 ethnic groups in Africa, the continent is largely ethnicized, with many tribes in different countries that speak different languages and have dynamic cultures, beliefs, and traditions. The peculiarity of the various tribes and ethnic groups make them unique and distinct from each other, providing a sense of belonging to their members because of shared language, rituals, and traditions. Many of these tribes existed for centuries before becoming part of a country, as they were fully established independent entities providing diversity to the country and thriving on their own. Over the years, tribalism emanating from these various tribes have influenced leadership and politics, led to insurgencies, effects of growth and development of countries, and continues to be a major declining factor in the leadership and progress of many African countries. The Rwandan genocide and Nigerian civil war are key incidences resulting from tribal conflicts that have affected growth and development of Nigeria and Rwanda, and the consequences of which they grapple with today. The question remains, how did they get here? And then it says, before colonialism, there were reports of tribal clashes over land and territories. The absence of civilization quote unquote civilization, and modern knowledge of warfare limited these clashes, and they were not as calamitous as modern versions have been. Perhaps they might have remained that way if not for incursion of colonialists. European nations colonized many African countries. Britain colonized Nigeria, Germany colonized Rwanda, and France colonized Cameroon. The list goes on. The bias and subtle discord created by the selfish policies of colonists formed the genesis of unhealthy tribalism, which has spread its wings and birthed fundamental problems in these countries. So when people come and go, oh man, well, Africans, they just can't get themselves together and they're always fighting each other. Who started the fight? Who instigated that shit? And why did they do it? Because guess what? If you two, let's say hypothetically, you two are, you guys are siblings and you both are overseeing some lush land, right? It has some nice resources in it. But I want that land and resources. What is the best way to get that land and resources away from you both? Make you fight each other. Prop one side up more than the other. Make one side resent the other. And then cause discord. And then destabilize the area. Take the land. And then start making money off of it. And then prop up one side and say, hey, you guys allow us to have all this, then, you guys will have a good seat with us. We'll give you weapons, ammunition. And you guys get to have a more prominent role in society over those guys. And that's how it works. And that's how and why these countries have the systems that they have. And then they will prop up different people who are their puppets, just like they did after the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. And then they will put them in positions of power in order to be a puppet dictator of the governments. And so whenever they're called to prop up governments like the United States, France, Belgium, Germany, Israel, then they will do it because they're puppets, even though the people may stand with the oppressed in their respective regions. So it's all connected, baby. And this is why it's so important that we link these connections, because imperialism and colonialism is constantly being done against the global South. Whether you're talking about what's going on in places like Argentina, Colombia, Bolivia, to when you get to places in, South Africa, Malawi, Congo, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Cameroon. It doesn't matter. As long as these powers get to have their hands on the resources. Because they can't keep their hands off of Africa. Because they wouldn't have the societies that they have if they didn't. So this is why it is connected, and always follow the money. It is imperialism. So yes, that's why I said occupation and colonialism, illegal occupation and colonialism, it's all connected. What's going on with the Palestinians is connected. What's going on to the Sudanese, what's connected to the Sudanese is connected to the Congolese. What's connected to the Congolese is connected to Rwandan. What's connected to Rwandan is connected to the Haitian. What is connected to the Haitian is connected to you and me here in this country. And then that is connected to the destabilization that they tried to do in places like Chile and what they tried to do in places like Bolivia, what they're trying to do to Venezuela, what they're trying to do to Cuba. It's all connected. Never stop connecting the dots. Because let's face it, where are they going to go? They can't necessarily colonize another planet because we don't have the technology or the resources to do that. Everything happens on this one planet. And so, of course, it's always the same culprits.